Ukraine carried out one of the largest drone raids in history against the Moscow region. On the night of July 19th to 20th, 2026, more than 400 unmanned aerial vehicles were directed at Moscow Oblast, just south of the capital, and the capital remained under heavy siege throughout the night. Among the main targets were Wildberries' giant logistics center in Kolegino, about 50 kilometers from Moscow, the Yuzhny Avrora Industrial Park near Domodedovo, and the oil depot near Podolsk. Amid the massive chaos and panic that erupted, thousands of Russian workers at the facilities fled with fear, while millions of Muscovites, accepting defeat, were losing all their faith in Putin. Yes, it's such a harsh apocalypse. Damn. The sun is trying to come out over there. This single night was both a trauma etched into the memory of millions of Muscovites, and one of the heaviest blows to the Putin regime's famous "everything is under control" image. And this could be a real turning point for the Kremlin and for Russian society. This is the Geo Network. In every video we go beyond the headlines. If this is the depth you're looking for, subscribe and turn on notifications. Now let's look at how that night was orchestrated. The attack that paralyzed Moscow was the clearest example of Ukraine's systematic saturation tactic. In this method, hundreds of drones are sent simultaneously and along different routes, pushing beyond the capacity of Russia's air defense. Indeed, the Moscow region, which had already been loaded with more than 370 drones on July 18th, this time faced more than 400. This night, Ukraine sent its drones simultaneously and along different routes. Russian air defense systems and electronic warfare units were heavily engaged. Some drones were shot down. Others were diverted off course by electronic warfare and redirected to different points. Even so, enough drones managed to get through the defense line and struck the critical logistics and fuel facilities in Kolegino, Yuzhny Avrora, and Podolsk. As a result, the Wildberries facility in Kolegino halted operations, and the Yuzhny Avrora Logistics Park and the Podolsk oil depot were heavily damaged. Flight restrictions came into force at Vnukovo, Domodedovo, and Zhukovsky airports. Workers and the surrounding population were evacuated. This picture revealed a very important truth. Even Russia's most advanced defense could not protect the area just south of the capital. What's more, the Kolegino that was struck lay just 42 kilometers south of the Kremlin. And this was not a single night. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin himself, confirming the enormous impact of these heavy attacks, had acknowledged the capital's defeat. According to Sobyanin's statement, 1,892 drones were sent toward the region between July 11th and 18 alone. By now, this has approached 2,500. In other words, the Kremlin, in its helplessness, could no longer even hide the scale of this attack or the defeat. The most striking aspect of this attack was not just the material damage. It was the panic it created in the capital. That night, the Moscow region was shaken for hours by the sound of explosions, sirens, and chaos. The panic was felt most of all at the facilities that were struck. At the Wildberries and Yuzhny Avrora warehouses, workers on the night shift were startled by sudden drone alerts and the sound of explosions. They tried to leave their workplaces in a rush, so much so that according to the footage, many workers threw themselves outside without even grabbing their phones. But the fear was not confined to the facilities. At the same hours, people living in the civilian settlements of Moscow region were also woken from their sleep by the sound of explosions. As the question, "Are they attacking again?" passed from mouth to mouth, posts like "Drones are raining on Moscow and there's a stampede" spread rapidly on social media. This chaos spilled over to the airports as well. The sudden restriction of flights at Vnukovo, Domodedovo, and Zhukovsky left thousands of passengers in the middle of uncertainty. The sirens that lasted all night created serious unease among residents in the south of the capital. While some families tried to move to safer places, others followed the news at home. The fear that Ukraine's cities have lived through every night for 4 years had now entered the daily life of the very region that commands the war, Moscow. The fact that even these targets, just south of the capital, could be struck, laid bare an extremely embarrassing truth for the Kremlin. Russia's famous air defense cannot fully protect even its own heart. The most striking proof of this helplessness appeared in the problems created by Russia's own defense. As Russian electronic warfare systems tried to divert the drones from their targets, they accidentally steered some of them directly into Moscow's residential buildings. In other words, the system meant to protect the capital came at a certain point to harm its own city. All of this is a heavy blow to Putin's image. A leader who has spent 3 years trying to show that everything is under control now appears as a helpless figure who cannot protect even his own capital from a single night's drone siege. The truly ingenious aspect of this attack lies in the chosen targets, because Ukraine is now targeting not just military bases, but directly the daily life of Russian society, its Achilles heel. The clearest example of this is Wildberries, because this company is not an ordinary retailer, it is practically Russia's Amazon. The logistics network this giant, the country's largest online shopping platform, forms the backbone of millions of Russians' daily lives. The Kolyazino facility that was struck, with its roughly 200,000 square meters, was one of the company's largest and oldest distribution points. So much so that earlier attacks had knocked out 7% of the company's logistics capacity. The repair cost was said to have exceeded 20 billion rubles. With Kolyazino added, these losses grew considerably. But the targets were not only retail, because the oil depot in Podolsk was one of the critical links in the fuel supply chain of the Moscow region. Facilities like this feed both civilian life and military logistics at the same time. And giant industrial parks like Yuzhny Voroda are a complete strategic hub in terms of storage and distribution. In other words, in a single night, Ukraine struck the logistics backbone that keeps the Russian war economy standing in more than one place. And the impact of these strikes is not limited to Moscow either, because Ukraine's systematic attacks on refineries and fuel depots have already caused a fuel shortage that is spread across all of Russia. In many regions of the country, gasoline has been rationed. The bottlenecks in railways, ports, and energy infrastructure are straining both civilian trade and military shipments at the same time. In other words, this billion-dollar damage is actually only the visible face of a much larger economic attrition. That is why Ukraine is targeting the silent contract the Putin regime made with society. You stay out of politics, and I'll give you a comfortable life. Now that comfortable life is being interrupted every night by the sound of drones, by empty shelves and fuel lines. The impact of these attacks was felt most concretely at the base of the Russian economy, that is, among ordinary sellers. Because with the warehouses burning, thousands of small sellers suddenly suffered great losses. Social media filled with the outraged videos of Russian sellers who lost their goods in these warehouses. While some described losing 2 million rubles, that is roughly $25,000, others said they had lost more than 10 times that. The greatest anger was this: the company was paying no compensation for these losses. In other words, these attacks struck not only giant companies, but also directly the thousands of small businesses and individual entrepreneurs who make their deliveries to these warehouses. And it is at exactly this point that a far more dangerous crack appears for the Kremlin. Because Russian state television largely ignores these attacks and the economic destruction they cause. While this face of the war gets almost no airtime on the screens, the agenda is shifted to other topics. But the internet, especially the posts of the sellers who were hurt, is spreading the truth fast. So much so that the everything is fine narrative the Kremlin has run flawlessly for decades is being punctured seriously for the first time. Millions of Russians now feel the war, not on television, but in their own wallets, in their own online shopping, in the smoke over their own city. And the state's effort to hide this truth is making the matter even bigger. Because while the attacks are being covered up on one hand, on the other, the security measures taken, for example, the internet and messaging restrictions applied to jam the drones, are making the daily life of millions of ordinary people even harder. Thus, the Kremlin, while trying to hide the war, is unwittingly feeding the public's discontent. But the deepest impact of this attack was neither in the burning warehouses nor among the sellers who were hurt. The real target was a much larger mass, the minds of the roughly 20 million people living in the Moscow metropolis, and more broadly, of the 146 million-strong Russian society. Because for 4 years, this war was a distant headline for Russians. The clashes at the front, the destroyed Ukrainian cities, were all happening on the other side of the border. The life of an average Muscovite, meanwhile, went on as normal, but not anymore. The sound of a drone passing in front of one's own window destroyed that safe distance in a single night. The fear that eyewitnesses describe, you're sitting at home and this thing is flying towards your window, is now the everyday reality of the capital. This psychological rupture is reflected in concrete data as well. Indeed, according to a study conducted after an earlier major attack on Moscow, anti-war discussion across Russia rose by 235% after a single incident. Because, as experts note, when drones reach Moscow, Russians begin for the first time to think about their own safety, to question the authorities, and to evaluate official statements with a critical eye. What is interesting is that even pro-Kremlin figures tacitly admit this psychological effect. So much so that while some pro-war commentators anxiously put out messages of, "There's no panic, everything is normal," others confess that the real aim of the attacks is precisely to put the public under this kind of stress. In other words, that the target is psychological is seen even by the other side itself. This is exactly what the Kremlin fears most, because now no one, even in the heart of the capital, can feel completely safe. And this sense of insecurity can transform a society faster than even the most powerful propaganda machine. Because in the end, people believe not what they're told on television, but the sound of the drone flying over their own heads. So what Ukraine really expects from these attacks is not the burning of a few warehouses. The aim is far deeper, to carve the war into the collective consciousness of the millions who say, "This isn't our war," and to make them feel that the war has now arrived at their very doorstep. The attack on the night of July 19th to 20th clearly showed that the war has now entered a brand new phase, because the conflict is unfolding not only in the positions at the front, but now in Russia's rear, in the very heart of its economy and daily life. Ukraine's strategy is becoming clearer too. Logistics centers are being knocked out, fuel infrastructure is being damaged, thousands of sellers are taking losses, and unease is growing in the heart of the capital. As mutual deep strikes increase, a war is slowly turning into a war of economic attrition and logistical paralysis. And the most dangerous part of this picture for the Kremlin is that it can no longer be hidden, because Russia's famous promise of stability is weakening a little more with every burning warehouse, every fuel line. 4 years later, the war has finally reached Russian society's own home, its own wallet, and its own mind. What remains are the big questions. How far will this escalation go? Will this pressure inside Russia turn into a real political force? Or will the Kremlin manage to cover up this crisis too? What do you think? Will these attacks on Moscow create a serious rupture inside Russia? Share your views in the comments. To not miss analyses like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. Brought to you by the Fast 24 Military.